We're here at the legislature where decisions are made about the grizzly bear hunt, that 91% of British Columbians are opposed to having. Our last speaker is Jordan Reichert. Jordan is the West Coast Campaign Officer for the Animal Protection Party of Canada. Jordan is an animal advocate, activist, and vegan community organizer in his hometown here of Victoria. He's worked on a multitude of animal advocacy campaigns across BC with his own organizations and supporting others, and ran in the 2015 federal election on an animal inclusive campaign for his party. Jordan is committed to raising awareness for animals as individuals and nations with their own determination and agency. I'm really, really pleased to end the speakers list with Jordan.
Thank you everyone for being here today. It's fantastic to see such a great turnout. First of all, of course, I want to recognize, as with some of the colleagues speaking earlier, that we are standing on unceded Coast Salish, Songhees, and Esquimalt territory. It's very important that we recognize this at every type of event like this. I just want to point something out. I could be wrong. There's just been a couple of gentlemen over to our left who have been shaking their heads, and you can see them. They're quite obvious. They're in the cowboy hats there, and I guess this is still the Wild West to them. Maybe they're part of Christy Clark's entourage. I don't know, but you know, you can wave to them. You can take their picture, and you can just say, like, 'cause it's going to last a lot longer than the grizzly hunt is around here. So, you know, go ahead. You know, you're not really welcome here, but you know, feel free to stay. So, anyway. You see, I'm in a different position than many politicians that probably take the stage or speak at debates and such, because I don't get to discriminate against which animals I care about, which animals I represent. All animals are deserving of life and important to me, and you know, whether it's cats and dogs, whether it's cows and pigs, whether it's grizzly bears, whether it's cougars, whether it's bighorn sheep, whether it's the horses being used right across the street at the horse carriages over there, being exploited every day. That's right. And so it's important we don't forget any of them as we move forward, because quite honestly, I'm sick and tired of the excuses for why we should be allowed to injure, kill, brutalize, and put systemic violence against animals in our communities across BC, across Canada, across the world. So I have a question for you then, considering all that. Are grizzly bears here for us to kill?
No!
Are grizzly bears here for us to harvest?
No!
Are grizzly bears economic resources?
No!
Are grizzly bears trophies?
No!
Then why does the government allow these things to continue to happen? Why is violence so prevalent in our society against animals? Why do we sell animals to people, to the highest bidder? And I'm sorry, but more resident hunters are killing grizzly bears in BC than non-resident hunters. So don't blame people out of the province for coming here. Blame these guys. Blame people right here in BC, people you may know, and hold them accountable for killing grizzly bears. Because it's easy in this day and age with people like Donald Trump and all the alt-right to go ahead and point at minorities coming in from other countries, point at all these other excuses. I don't have time for that, okay? You stop the hunt. Period. No taking meat out, okay? I don't want these half measures, okay? There's no regulation of these industries. Okay? There's no enforcement of these policies even when they are put in place. So how are we supposed to hold anybody accountable? You can't just say, we're going to stop the trophy hunt, but we're not going to improve resources or funding for conservation officers to keep an eye on things. Year after year, these services are cut. There's hardly any conservation officers in BC. When animals, there's no rehabilitation centers either. There's no funding for these sorts of things. the only wildlife rehabilitation facility in BC that is well serviced is Wild Ark on Vancouver Island. What about the Okanagan, where most of BC's wildlife is? Right? Northern BC, there's nothing there. So what's the solution? Kill them. Absolutely disgraceful, absolutely unacceptable, and we need to keep fighting this until we have a no-kill policy with grizzly bears. Because, as some of the people have mentioned here already, they are just like us. Repeat that after me, if you will. They are just like us. Grizzly bears have families. Grizzly bears have families. Let's try that again. Right. Grizzly bears want to live. Grizzly bears want to feel joy. Grizzly bears want to spend time with their children. Grizzly bears do not want to be hunted. Grizzly bears have a right to their lives. That's right. We all have a right to our own lives. And they have every interest that we do in keeping their life. So no more excuses. And, you know, when I look at this, I think this is a fantastic issue. I'm happy to see so many people out here today. But there are billions of other animals being killed. So take that into your heart as well. Reflect on all the animals being killed every year. Over 1 billion animals are killed every year in Canada. Just in Canada alone, 200 to 300 grizzly bears are killed in BC. More cougars are killed in BC, and they have half the population. Bighorn sheep are killed every year in BC for trophies as well. So what we need, and I'm calling on the politicians here today and the politicians that are here tomorrow to take up the mantle, not just for grizzly bears, but for all wildlife and all sentient life across BC, across Canada, and represent them in the oceans, represent them in every country, and stand up to them until we see a society that respects animals as individuals and not as commodities. Thank you very much.